Doncs com us deia, comencem ja amb aquest bloc de focus en les transformacions del mercat de treball i ho farem amb una primera mirada de caràcter internacional per situar aquest context de canvi en un sentit ampli. És per això que avui comptem amb Pedro Moreno de Fonseca, que és especialista en aprenentatge al llarg de la vida de l'Organització Internacional del Treball. Pedro ens acompanya de manera virtual i ara li donem la benvinguda a través d'aquesta connexió. Pedro, ¿nos oyes? Buenos días, Pedro.
Sí,
buen día.
Buenos días.
Encantadas de tenerte hoy aquí con nosotros. Pedro, adelante.
Placer de poder hablar para este congreso. Aún no he aprendido catalán, solo tengo mi poquito de castellano. Y si no os molesta, cambiaré para inglés, que es un poco más simple para mí. Voy a partilhar algo. Y share now just my small presentation. So I have the pleasure of very briefly introducing these aspects of labor market impacts and workplace impacts of AI. This will be a bird's eye view on what is happening currently and the role that career guidance can play, which is evidently a very important role. This is a bit of a generalist perception of things. We're all aware that the labor market is being very affected by megatrends, in technological change, essentially also digital change, and all this impact of AI is just one of them. And all these shifts in conjunction are really altering the way in which we work, the way in which we enter jobs, in which we progress along career paths, and it's creating new demands on society, creating new pressures on employment systems, on training, education and training systems, and it's something that, of course, we must take into account. This slide, I'm not going to explain everything that is happening here, but essentially depicts the results of a robust study with robust data behind it that shows the exposure that jobs have to AI. So in a very simple way, the ones which are towards the right, that have the dark red, and are the ones that are most exposed. So in a very brief way, we can immediately see that most of jobs are actually not substantially exposed to AI. So it's a minority of jobs that actually have high exposure. And in the jobs that really are more at risk of automation are well identified. We all know that, for example, clerical jobs might be automated to a large extent. We know that statistical and financial roles are going to be automated to a large extent. So there's a restricted number of occupations that seem to be at danger of having a strong automation due to the impacts of AI. But at the end of the day, few jobs are really fully automatable. What we do see is that there is a change in the way jobs happen. So what we truly see in terms of impact of AI is that it is indeed rising. There's a rising demand, but what it is creating is a change in existing jobs and not so much the generation of new specialized roles in AI. So the true question is, what is effectively the actual effect over employment, over skills needs? How does it affect transitions along the career? The effects are, of course, not simple. We know there are interactions between those megatrends that we discussed. So, for example, the fact that we have people staying until an older age in employment also means that they will need to have adaptation to digital technologies at later stages in career that they were not expecting. a lot of the green technologies also carry along the need to have a stronger capacity to deal with new digital technologies. And the same thing goes for shifts that are being introduced by trade pressures at international level and all the changes that they are provoking at the moment. Due to this very fast-pacing change and all these interactions, there is also a higher need for lifelong career guidance or career development support in several forms. What we do see when we try to look at the actual effects of AI is that, of course, you do have some job displacement, but as I said, it's not as strong as initially it could be expected. But what we are seeing is that we have this phenomenon of augmentation of tasks in which AI does play a role in, let's say, extending responsibilities, in expanding the roles that people play with digital support. We also see that it is clear that more than disappearance of jobs, we have a restructuring. So jobs are changing, functions are changing, roles of people are changing, while a small percentage of jobs are actually disappearing. At the same time, we also have introduction or reinforcement of certain tasks that were minor in previous stages. So we have more tasks around data treatment, supervision tasks are also expanding, maintenance, compliance, integration. So these are all examples of new tasks that are being introduced, not only in organizations, but in occupational profiles that were narrower in previous stages. These effects, however, are not homogeneous. They change a lot depending on sectors. In manufacturing, they'll have a certain effect. They'll have different effects on agro-industrial sectors. They will have different effects in service sectors, in IT or creative industry. They also change in terms of impact for different age groups, depending on qualification levels, and they also have differentiated impacts over men and women, depending on the type of roles that are consistently developed in a certain sector. In general, what we do have is a strong impact over workplaces. So there is reorganization that, as I said, is different across sectors. But what in general happens is that routine tasks are in fact being automated, not only manual, but more and more cognitive tasks, as we all know and feel on our day-to-day. And many workers who were exclusively manual workers in the past increasingly use more advanced digital tools. They can be physical interfaces or AI-enabled tools, but this is happening more and more and for all profiles of jobs. Decisions are now more taken, especially at management level, based on data analytics. We also have a tendency for a reinforcement of occupational profiles in the sense of introducing more elevate cognitive or metacognitive tasks. So people really do need to be more autonomous in what they are doing and exert more judgment in jobs that were relatively simple before. And what we also see is that the shift is pushing for more need for interaction, deeper interaction in workplaces, better communication across roles, levels, etc. Also, because of this technological explosion, we also have, of course, more demands in terms of cybersecurity, data handling, etc. So in a nutshell, really, we have a job transformation, and this pushes for the need for continuous learning so that people can adjust to this very fast-paced change that is currently happening. Our recent flagship report on lifelong learning looked a bit into what is being demanded on the labor market. This is just an illustration. I can't go in detail into the meaning of these graphs, but essentially they do illustrate groups or sets of skills that are requested together. So when you have darker lines, they are being requested together. We looked into online vacancies across several countries. You have a few examples here. And what becomes clear is that AI is never requested on its own. So employers are really seeking for rounded profiles. AI tends to come really associated with a number of transversal skills. Again, everything which is related to communication, judgment, being able to deal with difficult situations at work. So this is the kind of thing that employers are looking for. So they do want that people know how to handle AI, but essentially they want rounded profiles for the workers they are hiring. This, of course, puts the emphasis a bit on the need for lifelong learning solutions and for people to be able to judge when to step into a training solution that is adequate for them in a flexible way. What we also do verify and also learned through this global report is that actually people participate very little in lifelong learning. So, independently of the average income level of the country, because we could think also that, richer countries will have higher participation, participation stays relatively low. So only 16% on a year that we observe, 16% of people did participate in active learning activities, whether formal or non-formal. This is also there was also clear evidence of a factor of inequality in the sense that workers with the more stable ties contracts tend to have much more enhanced access to training. Of course, career guidance can help a lot in helping people find these reskilling solutions, deal with this effort of adaptation, this pressure for adaptation. But what we do see is that despite people finding great utility in career guidance, as this graph shows, you have this survey in the European Union developed by CEDEFOP that's shown that 90% of adults that were surveyed say, yes, we think it's valuable. But in the same year, the OECD asked also opinions to adults, and they said, yes, we have talked with career guidance counselors, we did have an improvement in career status, but it was not necessarily due to career guidance. So it's not still an activity that is valued as it probably should be. At the same time, people also do not necessarily see that it's useful or needed for them. And a lot of people also do not know that these services exist and can be leveraged to deal to cope with these current changes. Very briefly as well, again, a bird's eye view. I mean, career guidance for this kind of transitions that we're having due to AI pressure requires a number of general items. I mean, it's important to have a lifelong approach and really to have it present in a lot of levels in education contexts, services in an integrated way. The labor markets will remain fluid for a long period. So this approach needs to really follow the individual across the life course. Also, we need very strong skills intelligence, not only data. Data is becoming, especially statistics are becoming very fallible in terms of predicting what's going to happen. So you do need a very strong connection with the labor market itself, cooperation with employers, insights which are generated in other ways other than numbers, figures that are captured through statistics. It's also important to have linkages to sectoral strategies. When I talk to a lot of people in career guidance, they still are not really affecting this direct linkage to with sectoral bodies, cooperation with structured bodies of employers. I think this is tremendously important. And another thing which is important is really to have representatives of workers alongside employers involved in the national or regional coordination of the service. So this all enhances the quality of the service which is provided. Finally, we need also embeddedness with financial incentives. Career guidance is frequently excluded, and an embeddedness of career guidance itself in services linked to recognition of prior learning, outreach to adults, labor market policies, social protection services. So all of this needs to go together in a good bundle, coordinated bundle. So this was, as I said, a very short overview of things. So in conclusion, we know that AI is really transforming more than it's eliminating jobs. So this is something that must be held into account. Workers really need bundled skills, and for that they need to invest consistently in lifelong learning. Career guidance needs to take into account that there is interconnection between all these processes. So you need to target a bit the service so that you take into account multiple factors linked to all these changes and be present in the relevant services as well. And at the same time, it is important that the system itself can introduce the enabling elements that make career guidance relevant. So lifelong access, embeddedness in services, etc. And behind the scenes, you need really robust intelligence, linkages to sectoral strategies, and tripartite engagement, which is very, very often neglected. So I'll stop here. I hope that this has been a good oversight and that you can really have a good Congress. I wish you the best work possible in the next 2 days.
Pedro Moreno, muchas gracias por tu intervención, sobre todo por situarnos en estas transformaciones en el mercado del trabajo, en esta visión global y sobre todo también para situarnos a nosotros y a nosotras como orientadores y orientadoras profesionales en nuestro papel clave que tenemos a la hora de acompañar a las personas en estos procesos suyos de decisión sobre sus trayectorias profesionales. Un placer, we appreciate a lot que nos hayas podido acompañar en la sesión de hoy. A ver si en una nueva ocasión lo puedes hacer incluso aquí en Barcelona. Será un gusto de tenerte aquí con nosotras. Muchas gracias.
Será un gusto ir a Barcelona también. Gracias.
Pues nos vemos el año que viene, Pedro. Muchas gracias.